The Deathworld Alliance had survived many wars before, but nothing like this. Across the stars, entire fleets were disappearing. The enemy left no trace, no signal, no survivors. Only empty space and burning wrecks remained. On the planet Vathar Prime, Commander Reinar stood inside the Grand War Hall. His skin was scaled like dark stone, and his yellow eyes glowed under the blue lights. Around him sat the leaders of the Deathworld Alliance, each from a planet so dangerous that even their air could kill weak creatures. These were the strongest warriors in the galaxy. Yet fear was written on every face. A hologram flickered in the center of the room. It showed a dark ship moving through space. Its shape was smooth and alive, almost like a living creature. Its surface pulsed with strange silver energy that looked like liquid light. Every time it appeared, it wiped out an entire fleet in minutes. "This ship destroyed the Tarkin defense fleet in less than 10 breaths," said Reinar. His voice was rough and heavy. It broke through their shields as if they were made of glass. The council members looked at the display. The ship was silent, giving no sign of communication or identity. General Varn, a tall insectoid from the planet Krixa, slammed one claw on the table. "No enemy ship can do this. It must be using forbidden energy." Reinar nodded. "Our scientists have no idea what power it uses. Its energy pattern does not match anything known. It does not use plasma, fusion, or ion cores. It feels like something older, something not made by our kind." Another leader, Elder Thera of the Molten World Zor, leaned forward. "You think it is ancient?" Reinar turned to her. "I think it is more than that. It may be alive. Every time we fight it, it changes its attack pattern. It learns faster than we can react." Silence filled the room. No one wanted to believe what they were hearing. If the ship was alive, then it was not only a machine but a predator. For months, the Alliance had been losing worlds one after another. The enemy ship appeared without warning, fired a single wave of energy, and vanished. Some believed it was controlled by ghosts. Others said it was a god of war. But the truth was still unknown. Reinar raised his hand to show a chart filled with red marks. "These are the systems we have lost in the last 8 weeks. Entire fleets gone. Billions of lives vanished. If we do nothing, this thing will reach our core world soon." The leaders began to argue. Some shouted to build stronger ships. Others said they should hide. None had a real answer. Finally, Elder Thera spoke again. "We have called for help across the galaxy. We sent a distress signal to every known world. Perhaps someone will answer?" General Varn laughed bitterly. "Who would help us? The peaceful races fear us. The weak ones cannot fight. We are the Deathworld Alliance. We were born to survive alone." Reinar looked down at the floor. He wanted to believe that the Alliance could stand alone, but deep inside he knew the truth. The enemy was beyond their understanding. Their weapons could not break its shields. Their scanners could not lock onto it. Every move they made was already predicted by the dark ship. That night, Reinar walked to the edge of the military platform overlooking the burning city of Vathar Prime. The red sun was setting behind the towers, and the air smelled of metal and fire. He remembered his days as a young soldier, full of pride and confidence. Now he felt small against the darkness coming for them. He turned his gaze to the sky and whispered to himself, "What are you?" The next morning, the council gathered again. A communication officer ran into the hall, his voice shaking. "Commander Reinar, we have received a message." All eyes turned to the hologram as the message played. The signal was weak and static filled the air, but one voice came through clearly. "This is Earth Command responding to your distress signal. Humanity accepts the call for aid." The room fell silent. The words echoed for a long moment. General Varn frowned. "Earth Command? I have never heard of this world." Elder Thera looked confused. "Is this some small colony?" Reinar searched the database. Earth, a blue planet in the Sol system. Classified as a low-threat environment. Average gravity. Mild climate. Population small. Technology level below ours. The room filled with uneasy laughter. Varn leaned back in his seat. "We ask for warriors and we get farmers." Thara shook her head. "They are from a soft world. What can they do against a ship that destroys Deathworld fleets?" Reinar, however, stayed quiet. He replayed the message in his mind. The human voice had no fear, no hesitation. It was calm, like a soldier who already accepted the cost of battle. "Maybe," he said slowly, "we should not judge before seeing them." For 3 weeks, the Alliance waited. No other response came. No other power dared to face the threat. During that time, the dark ship struck again. It appeared near the planet Dralon, home of the iron-scaled warriors. Within an hour, the planet was left in ashes. The spear, as some had begun to call it, destroyed everything in its path and then vanished again into deep space. When the news reached the council, panic spread. Even the proudest Deathworlders began to doubt survival. At last one morning, sensors picked up several signals entering Vathar Prime's orbit. "They are here," said the communication officer. Reinar went to the command balcony. Outside the glass walls, he saw something unexpected. A fleet of human ships appeared one by one through hyperspace. They were smaller than Alliance ships, but built strong and heavy, covered with thick armor plates. Their design was simple but efficient. No curves, no decoration, only purpose. The lead ship, marked with the name Valor's Edge, moved into position above the planet. Its hull bore scars from old battles. A channel opened and a man appeared on the hologram. He had short hair, a calm face, and eyes that carried both tiredness and strength. "This is Admiral Reed of Earth Command," he said. "We received your signal." "We are ready to assist," Reinar studied him. The human wore a plain uniform, not covered with medals like most leaders. His voice was steady and respectful. "You came knowing what we face?" Reinar asked. "Yes," Reed replied. "We studied the reports you sent. We understand the risk, but we do not run from challenges. We adapt," General Varn whispered to Thara. "He sounds confident for a man from a soft world." Reinar ignored the comment. "Welcome to Vathar Prime, Admiral. The Deathworld Alliance thanks you for your courage." The next few days were spent in preparation. Humans worked side by side with the Alliance, setting up joint command centers. Their technology looked different, rough but clever. They used tools the Deathworld engineers had never seen before. They focused not on size but on control and efficiency. When human engineers examined recordings of the enemy ship, they noticed something. Every time the dark ship fired, there was a small delay between energy waves. It was less than a second, but it was there. Admiral Reed called Reinar to the analysis room. "You see this?" he said, pointing at the data. "Your ships never had time to react because your systems are too large. But if we use smaller vessels with faster processors, we can use that gap." Reinar leaned closer. "You think you can hit it?" "We will try," Reed said simply. "We fight smart, not big." Reinar felt a strange respect growing in him. These humans were different. They did not shout or boast. They observed, planned, and acted. That night, as the fleet prepared for their first joint operation, Reinar stood beside Admiral Reed on the command deck. Outside, the stars shone quietly, hiding the danger that waited among them. Reed looked out the window. "In my world, we learned long ago that survival is not about strength. It is about will. You can break our bones, but not our spirit." Reinar turned his head toward him. "Then maybe, Admiral, your spirit is what we needed all along." The human smiled faintly. "We will find out soon enough." In the distance, scanners picked up a faint signal. The same strange energy pattern began to appear once more at the edge of the system. The dark ship had returned. The Deathworld Alliance prepared for battle. But this time, they were not alone. Humanity had answered the call, and the galaxy was about to learn what that meant. The day the humans landed on Vathar Prime was remembered across the galaxy. The people of the Deathworld Alliance gathered in the capital city to see the new allies who had answered their desperate call. No one knew what to expect. Some thought humans would be weak and fragile. Others believed they might bring new weapons never seen before. From the sky, silver dropships descended slowly through the clouds. Their engines roared across the city, shaking the metal towers. The ships landed in perfect formation on the central platform. The air shimmered with heat as the hatches opened and soldiers in gray armor stepped out. They looked simple but disciplined. Their movements were fast and sharp, like they had trained for this moment their entire lives. Commander Reinar stood waiting with his officers. His eyes followed every step the humans took. Their armor was not decorated like the Alliance uniforms, but it was strong and flexible. Each soldier carried compact weapons that hummed with quiet energy. At the front walked Admiral Reed, the man Reinar had spoken to earlier through hologram. Up close, Reed looked calm and confident. His uniform was neat and his eyes carried a steady focus. There was no fear in him. Reinar stepped forward. "Admiral Reed, welcome to Vathar Prime. You honor us by coming." Reed gave a short nod. We do what must be done, Commander. We heard your call, and humanity stands ready. Behind them, the leaders of the Deathworld Alliance watched in silence. Some whispered that these humans were too soft to fight. Others said their size and calm nature made them look weak. General Varn spoke aloud, unable to hide his doubt. You come from a peaceful planet. Do you truly understand what you face? The ship we fight has ended entire fleets. Reed looked at him without anger. We understand. We have fought wars before. Maybe not on your worlds, but on our own. We know what it means to lose everything and still rise again. The hall grew quiet. The way Reed spoke carried weight. It was not pride or arrogance. It was truth. Later that day, Reinar led Reed and his team through the Alliance's central command. Holograms of destroyed fleets surrounded them. Reed studied each image carefully, asking questions about energy readings and ship patterns. His officers took notes quickly. When they reached the analysis room, Reinar showed him the recordings of the enemy. The dark ship known as the Oblivion Spear moved like a shadow through the stars, its silver energy flaring before each attack. Reed leaned closer to the hologram. You said it changes its attack pattern every battle. Yes, Reinar replied. Every time we face it, it adapts. It learns from us. Reed crossed his arms. Then it is not just a weapon. It is thinking. The human scientists began scanning the data. They noticed something small but important. Every time the enemy fired its main weapon, there was a short delay between the energy charge and the release. It was less than a second, but it existed. Reed smiled slightly. There it is. Even the smartest weapon needs to breathe. Reinar tilted his head. You found a weakness? A pattern, Reed answered. We can use it. If we build small strike ships with faster processors, we can move in that gap. Your ships are powerful but large. They cannot react fast enough. But ours can. Reinar looked impressed. You plan to fight it directly? Yes, Reed said firmly. But we will not fight alone. We fight together. For the next few days, humans and Alliance members worked side by side. The engineers shared designs and weapons. The Alliance was surprised by human technology. It was not the most advanced, but it was clever. Humans used every piece of material to its limit. Their ships were built for speed and control rather than size and power. In one hangar, Alliance engineers watched as human pilots practiced maneuvers using simulators. The humans moved their ships like dancers in space, weaving through invisible lines, turning and spinning in perfect timing. Varn, who had doubted them before, watched in silence. They move like they were born in the stars, he said quietly. Reinar smiled. They move like they have no fear. That evening, the first meeting between the Alliance fleet and the human commanders took place in the Grand Strategy Chamber. Holograms filled the air, showing the map of the Outer Rift, the region where the dark ship had last appeared. Reed pointed to a red zone near the border. The Oblivion Spear attacks from this region. We will create a trap here. Elder Thera leaned forward. You plan to lure it? Yes, Reed said. We will send out small drones that carry false energy signals. It will think they are ships and attack. When it appears, our fleet will surround it from all sides. Varn shook his head. That ship destroys everything in its path. Your plan will end with our fleets burning again. Reed looked at him calmly. Maybe. But if we do nothing, it will keep destroying worlds. We either act or we wait for death. I prefer to act. The words struck the room like thunder. Even Reinar felt the weight behind them. Humans were not here to hide or wait. They were here to fight. The Alliance agreed. The fleet would move at dawn. When the sun rose over Vathar Prime, hundreds of ships lifted from the surface. The combined fleet stretched across the stars. Human ships took formation beside Deathworld cruisers. Their engines glowed bright blue as they moved into hyperspace. Reinar stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Iron Fang. Admiral Reed's ship, Valor's Edge, flew beside him. The two commanders spoke through the communication link. Reinar said, This is the first time our people fight together. Reed replied, Then let us make it count. As they entered the outer rift, the stars grew faint. Strange energy waves moved through the region, bending light and sound. It felt like being inside a storm that had no end. Scanners picked up faint signals ahead. Reed's officers activated the decoy drones. Small spheres shot forward, glowing with artificial life signs. The plan was simple. Trick the spear into thinking they were real ships. Minutes passed. Nothing happened. Then, without warning, the space ahead of them began to twist. A black shadow appeared, pulling light into itself. The Oblivion Spear emerged, larger than any ship ever built. Its surface shimmered with living light, like a creature breathing in the dark. "Contact!" shouted one of Reed's officers. The enemy fired first. A wave of silver energy spread through space, striking the outer Alliance ships. Shields broke apart like thin glass. Explosions lit the sky. Rhynar ordered his fleet to scatter. Human ships moved in close formation, weaving between the blasts. Their smaller size allowed them to dodge the deadly beams. Reed gave a sharp command. "Activate EMP Halo." From the Valor's edge, a ring of blue energy expanded outward. For a few seconds, the Oblivion Spear flickered. Its energy field weakened. "Now," Reed shouted. Alliance ships fired everything they had. Beams of plasma and rockets filled the void. The dark ship shook under the combined attack, but then the light returned. The spear adapted. Its shields changed color, absorbing the attacks. The halo lost its effect. One by one, the outer Alliance ships fell. Flames and debris filled the space around them. Rhynar watched as his people died, but then he saw something that gave him hope. The human ships did not break formation. They moved closer, shielding the damaged vessels. When one ship was hit, another took its place. Their discipline held the line. Reed's voice came through the comm. "Do not fall back. Keep firing." His tone was calm, even in the middle of chaos. It spread courage through every pilot. The humans used every gap, every delay in the enemy's fire to strike again. Small missiles slipped through openings, hitting weak points on the dark hull. Each strike left small cracks glowing red. Rynar's second officer stared in disbelief. "They are fighting like madmen." "No," Rhynar said. "They are fighting like survivors." After several long minutes, Reed gave the order to retreat. The fleet pulled back toward the asteroid belt. The Oblivion Spear did not follow. It simply turned and vanished into the shadows again. When the survivors regrouped, silence filled the command channel. They had lost many ships, but they had also achieved something no one else had. The enemy had been damaged. Rhynar stood on the bridge, breathing heavily. He turned to the screen where Reed appeared once more. "You did it," Rhynar said. "No one has ever hurt that ship before." Reed nodded. "It is only the beginning." "Now we know it can bleed." The Alliance fleet began returning to Vathar Prime to repair and plan their next move. For the first time in months, hope returned to the galaxy. The Deathworld Alliance had fought bravely for survival, but it was humanity that had shown them something new. They had seen courage that did not come from strength or power. It came from will. As the fleet entered hyperspace, Rhynar looked out at the stars and thought about the humans. He knew something had changed forever. The galaxy had found new warriors, and they were from a small blue planet called Earth. The battle at the Outer Rift changed everything. For the first time, the dark ship had been wounded. The enemy that no one could touch had finally shown weakness. It was not a victory, but it was proof that the impossible could be challenged. Back on Vathar Prime, the survivors returned with damaged ships and heavy hearts. The repair docks were filled with wrecks, smoke, and sparks. Thousands of engineers worked day and night to restore what they could. Commander Rhynar walked through the repair bay, his heavy boots echoing on the metal floor. He watched human engineers working beside Deathworld technicians. Their teamwork was smooth. No one argued or hesitated. They worked as if they had done this together for years. He stopped near one ship where human engineers were rebuilding a burned engine. A young human named Lee was covered in grease but smiling. Rhynar asked, "You just came from a battle and still smile?" Lee looked up and replied, "We are alive, Commander. That is enough reason to smile." Rhynar said nothing but felt respect for the human spirit. Many of his own people were still silent and broken. Humans, even after loss, kept moving forward. Later that day, Admiral Reed called a meeting in the war chamber. Holograms showed the data from the recent fight. The Oblivion Spear had been damaged in several sections. The energy field had failed for a short time, allowing the Alliance's weapons to reach its armor. Reed pointed at the data with a steady hand. "We made it bleed. That means it can be destroyed. The question is how." Elder Thara replied, "Every time we hit it, it adapts faster. Our last plan will not work again." Reed nodded. "Yes, it learns, but so do we. We have seen how its power core reacts. It needs a short rest between attacks. If we can time our moves perfectly, we can hit the core again before it resets. Renar leaned forward. You mean we attack when it is weakest? Yes, Reed said. We strike hard and fast before it can adapt again. Varn crossed his arms. That is easy to say but not to do. The moment we appear, it will destroy half our ships. Reed looked at him calmly. Then we will not appear first. We will make it come to us. The plan was dangerous. Reed wanted to set a trap in a quiet region near the system of Varnos 8. The fleet would hide among the debris of old asteroids, while human drones would send false signals to lure the enemy. Once the dark ship arrived, the fleet would strike from behind. For 3 days, preparations began. Humans modified their ships with faster energy converters and new shield systems that could reset quickly. The Alliance ships were upgraded with human-built sensors that could detect energy spikes faster than before. Reinar visited the human ship Valor's Edge to see their progress. He found Reed standing near a large window looking out at the stars. Reinar said, "You risk much with this plan. What if it fails?" Reed smiled slightly. "Then we learn again. Failure is not the end, Commander. It is part of the road to victory." Reinar nodded slowly. "You humans see war differently than we do." Reed turned to face him. "We see war as survival. It teaches us who we really are." When the fleet reached Varnos 8, the battlefield was silent. Broken moons floated in space, and the light of a distant sun shone weakly over the rocks. It was the perfect place for a trap. The human drones began to spread through the area. They emitted life signals and communication codes similar to Alliance ships. From a distance, they looked real. Hours passed with nothing on the scanners. Then, at last, a warning flashed on the main screen. The Oblivion Spear had arrived. The dark ship appeared slowly, its surface glowing with cold light. It moved through the asteroid field like a predator searching for prey. Its energy core pulsed like a heartbeat, sending waves of power through space. Reinar felt the tension rise on the bridge. Every officer watched the ship in silence. Reed's voice came through the channel. "Hold your fire until I give the order." The enemy fired first. Silver beams struck the drones, tearing them apart. The explosions made the dark ship pause as if confused by the lack of real-life signs. "Now," Reed commanded. From behind the asteroids, the combined fleet burst forward. Alliance warships fired plasma cannons while human ships launched guided torpedoes. The sky lit up with fire. The Oblivion Spear reacted fast, but the humans were faster. They moved through the field, hiding behind rocks, striking from all sides. Every time the enemy fired, they used the brief delay to attack again. "Hit its left side," Reed shouted. "Target the glowing section." Reinar's ship fired at the spot. The dark surface cracked, sending sparks and smoke into space. But the victory was short. The enemy adapted again. Its armor shifted and hardened. It released a shockwave that threw several ships off course. One human ship spun out of control, its engines on fire. Reinar ordered rescue drones to recover the crew, but Reed's voice stopped him. "No. Focus on the target. We finish this first." The commander obeyed. He saw the courage in the humans who continued to fight even as ships burned around them. Then the enemy changed its tactic. It started draining energy from nearby ships, pulling power from their shields. Several vessels went dark and exploded. Reed clenched his fist. "It is feeding on us." Reinar's second officer shouted, "Our shields are failing. We cannot hold." Reed stayed calm. "Then we stopped giving it power." He gave an order that shocked everyone. "Shut down reactors. Go silent." One by one, the human ships powered down completely. Without energy signals, they became invisible to the enemy's sensors. The Oblivion Spear hesitated. It moved slowly, searching for targets but finding none. Reinar followed Reed's lead and powered down his ship as well. The entire fleet went dark. For a long minute, space was silent. The enemy ship began to turn away, believing the battle was over. Reed whispered into his mic, "Now." At once, every human ship powered back on. The sudden energy burst created confusion in the enemy's sensors. They fired all weapons at once, hitting the weak points discovered earlier. The dark ship shuddered violently. A section of its hull broke apart, exposing glowing energy within. The combined fire of humans and Deathworlders struck the open core. A blinding flash filled space. When the light faded, the enemy ship was gone. Only fragments floated where it had been. Cheers filled the communication channels. Pilots shouted in joy. For the first time, it seemed the nightmare was over. But then sensors detected something strange. The fragments began to glow again. Small pieces moved together, forming a new shape. Reinar's eyes widened. It is rebuilding itself. Reed watched, in silence, as the pieces formed the front section of the ship again. It was never just a machine, he said. It is alive. The fleet had no time to rest. The spear reactivated its core, sending a wave of energy that pushed every ship backward. Reed knew they could not win this round. Retreat, he ordered. All ships fall back to base. The Alliance fleet pulled away, leaving behind debris and silence. The enemy did not chase. It stayed still, watching them go, almost as if it were thinking. Back on Vathar Prime, the mood was mixed. They had damaged the ship again, but it had rebuilt itself faster than before. Some began to lose hope. In the council room, the leaders argued once more. General Varn said, "It cannot be destroyed. Every time we fight it, it comes back stronger." Elder Thara looked toward Reed. "What are we fighting, Admiral?" Reed answered quietly. "Something old, something that learns, but everything that learns can also make mistakes." Reinar stepped forward. "You think it has limits?" "Yes," Reed said. "It must have an origin. Something made it. We find that, and we find a way to stop it." The council agreed to let the humans lead the investigation. Reed's scientists began scanning the remains collected from the battlefield. The fragments contained unknown symbols burned into the metal. They were not Alliance writing or human language. Reinar joined Reed in the lab as the scientists worked. One of them, a woman named Tessa, looked up with excitement. "These symbols are coordinates. They point to a system far outside known space." Reed studied the data. "Then that is where we go." Reinar asked, "You plan to travel there? It could be a trap." Reed replied, "It probably is, but if we do not go, it will come for us anyway." He turned to the map and marked the location. "Prepare the fleet. The next battle will decide if the galaxy survives." Reinar looked at the humans around him. They were tired, wounded, and outnumbered, yet none of them looked afraid. He realized something then. Humans were not just allies. They were the kind of warriors the galaxy had never seen before. As the fleet prepared to move again, the words of Admiral Reed echoed through every ship. "We are not the strongest. We are not the oldest. But we are the ones who never stop fighting." The Deathworld Alliance believed him. For the first time, every species stood united under one banner, the banner of humanity. The fleet had returned to Vathar Prime, but no one celebrated. The dark ship, the Oblivion Spear, had been damaged, yet it had survived. The Alliance and human crews worked side by side to repair ships and tend to the wounded. Every day brought reports of new strategies, new data, and the need to prepare for the next encounter. Admiral Reed and Commander Reinar walked through the lab, watching scientists and engineers examine the fragments collected from the last battle. The pieces were strange. Unlike any material the galaxy had seen, they shimmered faintly with energy, and some sections seemed to move as if alive. Tessa, a human scientist, held up a piece of the hull. "Look at this," she said. "These markings are not random. They are instructions, code, ancient code." Reinar frowned. "Code? You mean like a computer program?" "Yes," Tessa replied. "But it is different from anything we have ever seen. It is not just logic. It has patterns that respond to attacks. It is learning." Reed studied the fragment carefully. "Then the ship is not a weapon in the traditional sense. It is intelligent. It reacts to threats, predicts moves, and adapts in real time." Reinar nodded. "That explains why we could not destroy it before. But if it is intelligent, it must have a source. Someone created it." Tessa activated a holographic map. Symbols and coordinates appeared in three-dimensional space. "These markings are location codes. They point to a system far outside known space beyond any of our charts." Reed's eyes narrowed. Then we are not just chasing a weapon. We are chasing the maker of that weapon. The Council of the Deathworld Alliance gathered once more. The room was tense. No one had spoken so openly about the origins of the enemy before. The alien leaders leaned forward, listening to Reed explain the plan. We travel to the coordinates, Reed said. We find the origin. We discover the weakness. And then we stop the spear for good. General Varn shook his head. That system could be a trap. It could destroy the fleet before we even see the ship. Reed's tone was firm. We risk everything. If we do nothing, billions will die. I am not afraid to take that risk. Elder Thera studied the human closely. Your confidence is remarkable, Admiral. You speak of risking lives, yet your people seem calm. Reed looked at her. Calm does not mean unafraid. Calm means we understand what we must do. Fear will not help us survive. Only preparation will. Reinar felt a strange admiration for the human. There was a discipline in him that the Deathworld leaders had never seen before. He realized that humanity had something deeper than weapons or strength. They had courage and strategy together, and that made them dangerous in the best way. The next morning, the fleet prepared to leave. Repair crews worked quickly, human and Alliance engineers side by side. Ships were upgraded with new weapons and faster shields. Human scientists installed monitoring devices on all vessels to track energy patterns from the spear. As the fleet entered hyperspace, Reed held a final briefing with his team. We do not know what we will find at the coordinates, he said. It may be abandoned, it may be defended, or it may be more dangerous than the spear itself. Stay focused, work together, and trust each other. Reinar, standing beside him, said, You expect us to trust each other, Admiral? Some of my leaders still doubt your people. Reed smiled slightly. Then let them watch. Actions speak louder than words. The journey to the unknown system was long. Days passed in silence, broken only by reports of unusual energy readings. The fleet moved carefully, aware that any misstep could reveal their position to the dark ship. Finally, sensors detected a faint signal at the edge of a dark nebula. Reed studied the reading carefully. This is it, he said. The source is nearby. Reinar looked at the nebula with caution. It is quiet. Too quiet, the fleet approached slowly. As they entered the nebula, the light from distant stars dimmed. Strange currents of energy twisted through space. The ships moved like fish in a stormy ocean. Suddenly, the remains of the Oblivion Spear appeared. Pieces of its hull floated around a massive structure hidden within the nebula. The structure was enormous, shaped like a giant tower with energy lines running across its surface. Tessa activated her scanner. This is not a normal station, she said. It is ancient, possibly older than the oldest Alliance records. It radiates power similar to the spear, but much stronger. Reed's expression hardened. Then this must be the origin, the home of whoever created the spear. Reinar studied the formation. It could be a trap. The structure may have defenses we cannot see. Reed nodded. We assume danger, but we must investigate. The fleet moved cautiously. Human drones were sent ahead, scanning the structure. Each drone returned with images of strange symbols etched into the surface, glowing faintly. Some sections appeared to shift as if alive. This is not just a station, Reed said. It is a control center, possibly the brain of the spear. Varn's voice trembled slightly. You mean the ship is only part of it? There is more? Yes, Reed said. The spear is the weapon. This station is the mind. The fleet approached the structure, careful to avoid energy fields and traps. As they drew closer, a sudden wave of energy swept across space. Sensors went blank for a few seconds. The fleet trembled under the pulse. Shields up, Reinar shouted. Human ships responded instantly, raising shields faster than any Alliance vessel could. The pulse passed, leaving no damage, but the warning was clear. The structure was active. It was waiting. Reed ordered the fleet to form a perimeter. We need to study it before engaging. Find weak points. Prepare for anything. Over the next several hours, human scientists worked quickly. They discovered patterns in the energy pulses and calculated timing gaps similar to the weaknesses in the spear. Tessa looked at Reed. The pulses are synchronized with the core inside. If we can disrupt the core, we can disable the spear and possibly the station. Reed nodded. Then we hit both at the same time. But we need precision. One mistake and the spear will regenerate even faster. Reinar studied the humans as they worked. Their confidence and determination did not waver despite the danger. He felt a growing respect for their ingenuity. For centuries, the Deathworld Alliance had relied on brute strength. Humans showed that strategy and courage could achieve the impossible. As night fell over the nebula, the fleet remained in position. The station's energy lines pulsed like a heartbeat, filling space with a strange glow. The dark ship had not appeared, but its presence was felt everywhere. Reed walked through Valor's Edge, speaking to his pilots. "Tonight we rest. Tomorrow we move closer. We do not attack yet. We observe, we learn, and we prepare. Victory belongs to those who are ready." Renar stood beside him, watching the stars outside. "You are patient, Admiral. I have never seen anyone so calm in the face of such power." Reed turned. "Patience is not calmness. It is control. Fear is natural. But we do not let it rule us. That is what makes us different." Renar thought about the battles the humans had already fought alongside the Alliance. They had faced death, yet they continued forward. He realized that humanity was not just brave. They were unyielding. The next morning, the fleet prepared to move closer to the structure. Sensors picked up weak signals within the station. Reed studied them carefully. "We have found entrances. Energy cores that may control the spear. This is our chance." Varn frowned. "You plan to attack first? We do not know what defenses lie ahead." Reed replied firmly. "We study the unknown. We adapt to it. That is what we have done from the start." "We will continue," Renar nodded. "Then we follow you, Admiral. Lead the way." As the fleet moved into position, the hidden origin of the spear revealed itself in full. The massive structure pulsed with energy, feeding into the remnants of the dark ship. Its power was immense. Yet for the first time, humans in the Alliance saw a possibility. It could be challenged. Reed looked out at the glowing station. "The end of this begins here. We either find the weakness or we die trying. But we do not run, we fight." Reinar felt hope rising in his chest. Humanity had brought something the galaxy had never seen before. Not just courage, but the willingness to face the impossible. The hidden origin awaited them, and the next battle would test every skill, every strategy, and every bit of courage the Deathworld Alliance and humanity had to offer. The hidden origin loomed ahead like a giant sentinel in the nebula. Its massive energy lines pulsed rhythmically, feeding power into the dark ship fragments orbiting it. The combined fleet of humans and Deathworld Alliance vessels moved cautiously, every ship alert and every sensor active. Silence filled the communication channels. No one spoke unless necessary. Everyone waited for the moment when courage would meet danger. Admiral Reed stood on the bridge of Valor's Edge, his hands gripping the rail. His eyes scanned the holographic readings of the station and the spear fragments. He had studied every possible scenario, but this was unlike anything he had faced before. The spear was not just a weapon. It was part of a system designed to think, adapt, and survive. Every second mattered. Commander Reinar stepped beside him. "This station controls the spear completely. If we fail here, the Alliance could be destroyed," he said. Reed nodded. "Then we do not fail. Every ship must follow the plan precisely. Timing, coordination, and focus will decide this battle." The fleet divided into two groups. Human ships took the lead, moving through the gaps between energy lines in the station. Their speed and precision allowed them to dodge the pulses that would have destroyed slower Alliance ships. Behind them, the larger Deathworld vessels provided cover and firepower, ready to strike any sudden threats. As they drew closer, the spear fragments began to react. They moved like living creatures, forming a defensive wall around the station. Energy beams shot toward the fleet, striking Alliance and human ships alike. Shields flared and sparks flew, but the humans maneuvered with unmatched skill, avoiding the worst of the attacks. Reed spoke calmly to his pilots. "Focus on openings. Use the timing gaps. Do not hesitate. We hit the core, and the spear will be finished." One by one, human strike ships launched guided torpedoes toward weak points detected in the station's energy field. The spear fragments fired back, attempting to intercept every attack. The battle was intense and the fleet suffered losses, but the humans pressed on, covering each other and staying in formation. Reinar commanded the Iron Fang, his flagship, with precision. Alliance cruisers fired at the spear fragments, creating distractions to allow human ships to move closer to the station. He could see the cracks forming in the dark hull, small at first but growing with each coordinated strike. Steady, Reed said to his crew. This is the moment. Once we hit the core, everything changes. Human engineers had set up a device called the EMP Halo near the station. When activated, it could disrupt the energy flow, temporarily shutting down the spear and the station's defenses. The device required exact timing. 1 second too early or too late and it would fail. Activate Halo in 3, 2, 1, Reed commanded. A ring of blue energy expanded outward, intersecting the station and its orbiting spear fragments. Sparks and flashes lit space. The shields of the fragments flickered and went dark for a few seconds. The fleet moved instantly, striking at the exposed weak points. Reinar fired the Iron Fang's plasma cannons at the station, hitting one of the glowing energy conduits. A massive explosion tore through the structure, sending shards of metal and energy flying. Spear fragments were caught in the blast and disabled. The station pulsed violently as if trying to resist the attack. Reed's voice remained calm. Keep pressure on the core. Do not let it recover. Human strike teams moved closer, launching torpedoes that targeted the station's central hub. Each hit caused energy lines to flicker and sparks to fly. The spear fragments attempted to reassemble, but the fleet's combined fire prevented them from doing so. Reinar shouted, "The core is exposed. All units focus fire." Beams, missiles, and energy pulses struck simultaneously. The central hub glowed red, then orange, and finally white as the combined assault destabilized it. The station shuddered violently, and the spear fragments began to collapse into the energy vortex surrounding the system. Suddenly, a massive pulse of energy exploded outward, shaking every ship. Shields flared and engines strained. Several Alliance vessels took heavy damage, but the humans remained steady. Their smaller ships had avoided the worst of the blast through careful maneuvering. Reed ordered, "Hold formation. Finish the job." The fleet pressed forward, directing every attack at the core. The station's energy lines snapped one by one. The spear fragments could no longer maintain their structure. The dark ship's power faded as its connection to the station weakened. Reinar looked at the readings in awe. It is falling apart. The spear. It is breaking down. The final strike came from a coordinated human alliance attack. Torpedoes and plasma beams hit the last energy node on the station. A blinding light filled the nebula as the core erupted. The station shuddered violently and then imploded, pulling in the spear fragments with it. Silence followed. The energy waves dissipated, leaving only drifting debris and the faint glow of distant stars. The galaxy had been spared. For the first time, the enemy that had terrorized entire systems was gone. The fleet regrouped cautiously. No one spoke for several minutes, each pilot and commander processing what had happened. Then Reed spoke, his voice quiet but firm. "It is done. The spear is no more." Reinar stepped forward, looking at the human admiral. "You have done what no one else could. Humanity, you have changed the course of the galaxy." Reed shook his head. "We only stood with you. Together we did this. The Alliance fought bravely and your people showed courage beyond words." Varn, who had doubted humans from the start, approached slowly. His multiple eyes reflected the fading light of the destroyed station. "I did not believe you could fight like this. I was wrong. You have earned our respect." Reed smiled faintly. "We earned it together. Every species has its strength. But when we unite, we are stronger than any weapon." Reinar looked at the debris of the station. "It is hard to believe this is over. We have survived what no one thought possible, and humanity stood with us when we needed them most." Reed nodded. "This is only the beginning. The galaxy will need courage again and we will be ready. But for now, we can stand together and remember this victory." The fleet slowly began to move back toward safer space. The surviving ships were battered, but morale was high. Crew members cheered quietly, knowing that they had witnessed history. They had faced a weapon unlike any other and lived. Back on Vathar Prime, the news of the victory spread quickly. Citizens poured into the streets, celebrating the courage of the humans and the Alliance together. Statues and banners were raised in honor of the fallen and the brave who had faced the impossible. Commander Reinar stood on the balcony of the Grand Palace, looking out over the city. He thought about the humans who had fought alongside them. Their courage, ingenuity, and calm in the face of danger had been unmatched. He turned to Elder Thara. "We have learned something today. Strength is not just about size or power. It is about will, courage, and the ability to adapt." Thara nodded. "And humanity has shown us that. They have brought hope where we thought none existed." Reed walked beside Reinar. The galaxy will remember this day, not because of destruction or power, but because of courage. Because we did not run from the impossible. We faced it. Renar smiled faintly. You have given the Alliance a gift greater than victory. You have given us hope. Reed's eyes scanned the horizon. Hope is only the beginning. We must remain vigilant. There will be new threats and we must be ready. But today, humanity and the Deathworld Alliance proved something important. Together we are unstoppable. The sun set over Vathar Prime, casting long shadows across the city. Ships repaired and rebuilt, pilots rested, and the citizens celebrated. A new chapter had begun in the galaxy. One where different species could stand together, united by courage, strategy, and the determination to survive. Reinar looked at the stars and whispered quietly. When the galaxy trembled, humanity stood unbroken. The words echoed across every planet, every fleet, and every species. The legend of humans would spread for generations. They were no longer unknown warriors from a soft blue planet. They were protectors, allies, and a symbol of hope for the galaxy. In the aftermath of battle, the Deathworld Alliance and humanity began to work even closer. Plans were made to strengthen alliances, share technology, and ensure that no threat could rise without warning again. Young pilots trained with human crews, learning tactics that combined speed, ingenuity, and courage. Reinar watched them train and realized that the galaxy had changed forever. Humanity had brought more than strategy and bravery. They had brought inspiration. And inspiration, he knew, was stronger than any weapon. Admiral Reed stood on the bridge of Valor's Edge, looking at the stars. The nebula where the spear in the station had been was now empty, silent, and calm. He knew the galaxy would face challenges again, but for the first time, he also knew that united they could overcome anything. The Deathworld Alliance had faced the most dangerous ship in history. They had fought alongside a species many had underestimated, and together they had won. For the first time in decades, peace stretched across the stars, and humanity had earned its place among the galaxy's greatest warriors. The end of the battle marked the beginning of a new era, one where courage, unity, and the will to fight for life itself would define the future. The galaxy would never forget the day humanity answered the call to battle, and it would never forget the heroes who stood unbroken.